Welcome, Baskar.
Yeah, hi. Good to be here.
Thank you. This is, of course, you're aware of this. So this is a series called Leaders Lounge, which we launched, I think, last month. This is episode 2 of season 1.
Okay.
Obviously, the first leader that we interviewed was
Rajesh.
Rajesh, and then the second obvious leader was you, right? So here you are. Thank you so much for taking all the time.
My pleasure. Really happy to be here.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. The whole idea is to sort of understand your MBA journey, your career journey, so that our students, people watching, who are mainly MBA aspirants, can get inspiration from that.
Right.
And most importantly, get your advice for them, for their CAT prep, for their MBA journey, and the career as well post-MBA.
Super.
All right.
Yeah.
First, great. So I'll jump right in. You did your mech engineering from Anna University,
Right.
And then you went on to do your MBA pretty much
With 1 year work
quick
experience.
succession,
Right. Yes.
Yeah, and that you did from IIM Calcutta.
Right.
Okay. Now, my first question is, what was the reason for doing an MBA at that time?
Okay. Couple of things. One, when you're in class 12, I'm talking about, I did my 12th standard in 1987.
Right.
The possibilities were a lot lesser than what we have today.
Okay.
Right. When I say possibilities were a lot lesser, like in terms of the hybrid courses, different things that people could do, lot more available today than what was available then. And also in terms of people's perception about what would help you make a living. Because at that point in time, it's true to some extent today, but a lot more during those days, because the time makes a lot of difference.
Yeah.
Is that you do anything with the sole purpose of looking at how can you make a living out of it. Right. So when you're in 12th standard, during my days, you did medicine, you did engineering, and pretty much that.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And I really did not want to do medicine.
Right.
Somehow dissecting a frog and cockroach did not sit well with me.
Okay.
So I said engineering is the natural choice.
Correct.
Got into engineering first year. You really realize, as in if you're honest to yourself, in about the first semester I knew, I'm probably not going to be a good mechanical engineer. Forget great.
Okay.
Good mechanical engineer.
Right.
It's not that I didn't do justice to my courses. I learned reasonably well. The teachers were good.
Yeah.
I did reasonable justice to my grades. Wasn't bad.
Right.
But the whole point is, along the way,
Right.
see, you are actually ticking the boxes.
Correct.
Whereas you are not that mechanical
So your
engineer.
heart was not in engineering. That you understood in the first year of engineering.
It's not hard.
Right.
It was competence. I am being honest about it. Right. Heart is one thing. I don't think I was competent enough to be a good mechanical engineer.
Fair enough.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So you realize that, then you say, okay, let me go through this process.
Right.
Then naturally, if mechanical engineering is not your thing. Higher education in the form of MS, PhD and other things are kind of stopped.
Ruled out. Yeah.
Unless you want to switch gears to computers. And truth be told, there were programming courses as part of our engineering. We started doing Fortran and that kind of. We used to, actually my first year programming or second year programming, whenever we did that, was on the sponge cards, which were sent to mainframe. So we learned computers from those days. I've seen an 8-inch floppy disk. Right. I'm ancient. Right. The point I'm saying is, again, I used to be friends with computer science students. Those guys, the way they looked at programming, the way they did things versus the way I did, I realized I was not cut out for that too.
Okay.
And sometimes the realization is hard.
Yeah.
You realize you're not a good mechanical engineer.
Right.
And computers are happening and you realize you're not good at that too.
Especially at that age, it's a difficult thing to digest.
Difficult. And see, I had classmates of, batchmates of mine, not classmates of mine. Some of my classmates in mechanical engineering were also good programmers.
Okay.
These guys used to write virus and antivirus, and I'm talking about 1990.
Amazing.
Right. So, I think C-Brain was the first virus that India came to know. I remember these names because those guys used to basically go do exe file, may say, or .com file. They'll figure out something and then they'll say, this signature is there, and they will write antivirus for it. And here I am, not knowing what to do with any of those things. So even computers is a thing I realized I would survive as a programmer, but not going to be good at it.
Got it.
So then you obviously think, okay, these let's say hard skills are not there for you. Let's look at something else that you might want to do. MBA looked like a good option basically because at some level when I spoke to people who had done MBA, I had one family friend who did his MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. He said it lets you figure out during the course where you want to shape up into. Right. As in, you could become a tech guy later on, as in a tech manager. You could become a fin guy, you could become a marketing guy, you could become a HR person. And you can do this during the course of the first year, a part of the second year. And he also gave examples of people who, after having started a career, switched from one to the other when they realized in the job it is not the same as what they thought when it was in campus.
Correct.
This appealed to me a lot.
Okay.
Basically, I said, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm good at.
Right.
And at some
flexibility. Yeah.
Flexibility.
Right.
And also the thing that a BE job gave me 36,000 rupees annual salary. An MBA salary would be probably 85 to 90,000 rupees annual salary. You're talking about 2.5x.
Right.
That's a good place to go to.
Of course. Yeah.
These were the primary
reasons.
motivating factors to why I moved from this to that.
Okay. Very interesting. Now this is interesting because till now, I mean, till this date, this issue with engineering students, I'm sure is there. Not only engineering. I think a lot of undergraduates have this issue, right?
Yes.
You get into it by default rather than by design.
Or you think it is this and get into it.
Correct. And the reality turns out to be completely different.
Right.
So then MBA becomes a good career choice because you have these different paths that you can take.
Absolutely.
And if you're doing it from a good school, it helps you switch as well.
It's a beautiful exit door.
Correct.
If what you thought you got into was not the thing. I mean, it's like escape pod. You're in a spaceship and you don't want to be in that spaceship. Use this escape pod and start a new course.
Yeah.
It's true even today.
Right. So it's one sort of strong reason to want to do an MBA in your
Absolutely.
career. Especially if you're somebody who's not very focused on any domain or any stream. Okay, now going back to your CAT days. Now you, which year did you get into IIM Calcutta?
Got into 92.
92. All right. So you must have written the CAT at that time as well, right? Interestingly, those papers are still available today.
Oh,
they start from somewhere, I think 1991.
Okay.
So I'm sure your exam.
That was my first.
That
was my second attempt. Sorry.
Those PDFs are available.
Okay.
So I believe CAT did not provide percentiles back in the day, right?
No
percentiles.
Absolutely.
You just got straight up like PI calls from personal interview calls from various institutes, right? Which IIM PI calls did you get?
Okay, we had only 4 IIMs then.
Right.
ABCL. And you said calls. How do you get your calls,
By snail
postcard.
Right.
15 paise postcard.
I do remember that.
I know. If the postman missed it and gave it to someone, or you had a panga with him.
Just thinking about it,
Right. So I got calls from BCL.
Okay.
I converted only C.
Okay.
And I converted C through a waitlist, not in the first attempt.
Okay.
I also got an admission from FMS.
Okay.
FMS admit came in earlier before the waitlist for IIM Calcutta cleared.
Right.
So in fact, I had booked my tickets to go to Delhi. And then switched to this.
Got it. Okay. So, all right. My next question was, why did you choose C over others? But you didn't have a choice.
Right.
It was C
versus FMS. Yes.
I think at that time it was pretty clear that C was the leader, or was it a difficult choice?
It was still a little bit of a difficult choice.
Okay.
It wasn't that, because FMS had its own charm.
Right.
One, it's in Delhi, University of Delhi.
Correct.
And even at that point, the price point at which FMS comes is like
the ROI is amazing.
995 rupees annual fees.
Even then, I think in the 90s, 995 was still, I mean, it wasn't a very high.
IIM Calcutta was 12,000 rupees a year.
Okay.
So it's like 12 times.
12 times.
Today, kids might probably spend it on a weekend evening or something, this kind of money. But we're talking about 90s.
Correct.
But I had a couple of my superiors to whom I reported. One gentleman by name NRP Bhatt, who was assistant manager of our division L&T. This gentleman came from IIM Bangalore.
Okay.
And my immediate boss, one Mr. Anand Kulkarni, he came from IIFT.
Okay.
So they were like, and when I had these choices to make, I said, I don't know anything from how it is inside. I'll defer to their suggestions.
Right.
They've been through this.
Right.
And both of them said, close your eyes, you got this.
No brainer.
Yeah, go cancel the ticket, book a Geetanjali Express ticket, move on. And that's exactly what my boss told.
Okay.
Pagal hai kya is what he said.
Fair enough. Okay, great. So coming down to CAT preparation. Now this is where I'll need your advice for the aspirants, right? Who are, of course, the exam is about 4 months away. You didn't get a percentile, but you clearly aced CAT. I mean, you got a call from C, so obviously you aced it. How did you prepare for the exam back then?
Well, I used to work for Larsen & Toubro in Bombay.
Right.
That was my second attempt in CAT. On July 1st or something is when I knew where I was.
Okay.
Right. June was the induction program, 1 month roughly.
Right.
July 1st is when I knew that this was happening.
Okay.
So I knew I was going to be in Bombay.
So June was an induction program with Larsen &
Toubro in Bombay. Right. So July is when you are attached to a particular division, and I was working in one of the groups there in near VT, Ballard Estate is where their head office is. So I knew I had a 4-5 month window, and I also clearly knew that I had not done justice to my preparation the previous attempt when I was in Chennai.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
I used all the excuses of preparing for a CAT and did everything other than preparing for CAT.
Right.
Didn't get a single call.
This was during a final year?
Final year in college.
Yeah, okay,
Right?
okay.
I in fact convinced my parents to buy me a bike. In 1990s, to buy a Kawasaki Bajaj KB100 is huge.
It's big, yeah.
Right? So I had decent convincing power, I could say that.
Okay.
Or my,
so managerial, you had one of the managerial skills.
Or my parents were like intelligent. One of the two. Right? Net, we just did everything that a final year student with a bike will do without really preparing for it. But here, it seriously hit me because few of my batchmates are already left for US for doing their MS. Couple of my batchmates were in IIM Calcutta, IIM Ahmedabad, they were doing their MBA programs. And I realized that, yes, Larsen Toubro is a great company to work. But there's more career progression that I need to do. And Larsen Toubro, even in those days, I think easily about 40 to 50% of the employee count would have been engineers.
Right.
It's a very engineering heavy company.
Of course,
right? So I was joining as a graduate trainee engineer. The way up looked like, as in, it was a spiraling step which never ended. Right. So I said, I need to look at a way out of it.
Expedited path of something like that.
I was desperate.
Right.
That's all that I can tell you.
Okay.
You couldn't have become, your IQ doesn't grow in a year. Right. If anything, life became a little tougher because I used to live in Malad.
Right.
I used to work in Balad Estate.
Right.
It's a 34-kilometer train. And then an auto, share auto and share cab. And it was tough. And that's when I kicked myself saying that last year you had everything given to you.
Right.
And you ruined it.
Right.
And I said, okay, now you have to do it the hard way. Might as well do it the hard way.
With the work.
With the work.
Experience along.
Right. So mornings really had little time to do. Used to have to be at office at 9 o'clock. Got over at 5, which means at 6:30 is when you come out of the office typically. And then reached home at 8.
Commute,
Used to clock minimum of 1.5 to 2 hours every day. In the whole of July to November, every weekday.
Okay.
Saturday is a classmate of mine from engineering college. He was working in telco at that point in time. Lakshmi Narasimhan was his name. So I used to stay with 4 other classmates of mine.
Okay.
So Saturday evening guys used to have fun. So you can't really prepare. This guy was living alone in a PG.
Okay.
So we used to prepare together on Saturday and Sunday. I used to head back home on Sunday to my place. So this was a routine and this is a diligent, single-minded routine.
Right. And you started in July.
Started in July.
Serious preparation.
Yes.
Just
preparation. There's no one
preparation because last day it was a trial attempt basically.
Yes.
The previous year. Busy with your bike and all that. So 1.5 to 2 hours every day.
Yes.
Right. Coming back from work or before work or whatever during your commute, and then serious preparation on Saturday and Sunday.
Yes.
How many hours on an average did you spend on Saturday and Sunday?
Saturday, Sunday would be Saturday afternoon. Say about 4:30. We used to we used to take a test typically, analyze the test. Sunday probably another 4 hours. So 3 to 4 hours during the weekend. Anything more than that is also not meaningfully possible.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
And about an hour and a half or two during the weekdays. And probably catch half an hour of preparation in the train journey. And those days vocabulary used to be a big thing.
Flashcards.
Flashcards.
My brother, I remember my brother doing
that.
Yeah. Okay.
So this used to be the routine.
Okay. So that's the idea here is consistent preparation, right?
Yes.
You didn't spend too many hours,
right,
as you would for an engineering exam or a board exam.
Correct.
But it was very consistent throughout the week.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And in spite of your work, you did sort of 1.5 to 2 hours.
Yes.
Every day.
Yes.
Perfect. CAT is obviously different now.
Right.
I mean, quite a few elements are different. There's no vocabulary and sections have changed. What's your advice to 23 aspirants?
Right.
How should they go about preparing? If they're starting now or if they've been preparing for some time?
Right. So starting now, I think it's still possible.
Okay.
The only thing is you need to define what your goal is.
Right.
Why I'm saying define what your goal is. In our days, ABCL were the only IIMs.
Yeah.
So not much to choose. You can't say like, hey, I'll prepare to get into one of these and not the other.
Right.
Today we can broadly at least, we know we can classify the IIMs into 3 broad categories, the older ones, the newer ones, and as the student community calls it, baby IIMs.
Horrible word that
I know.
needs to go. Yeah.
I know, right. So the point is each has a different percentile mark.
Yes.
Things don't change so much because especially when it comes to percentile, unless the number of CAT aspirants in a year doubles, you're going to talk about similar number of people who are going to be in each of these brackets. Right. So if you know that if you're in the top 6 that you're gunning for, then you're probably, if you're coming from an open quota, you're looking at a 99.5 plus percentile to even stand a chance given other things are good for you. Right. Then if that is what your aim is, right, be objective and honest about it. Take a diagnostic today. See where you stand. And speak to someone who's been through this. Understand from them, from wherever you are, if you're in the 60th percentile, 88th percentile, 94th percentile, from here to that 99.5, what does it take? And the journey is not linear. Both in terms of 60 to 80 might happen in a month. 80 to 95 might take 2.5 months. 95 to 99.5 might take another 4 more months for some people.
Yeah.
Or it could be the other way around. For some people, the initial phase will be a lot difficult because everything would be new to them. This is not something they're used to. But the moment they built enough of this, right, suddenly you find that the momentum adding to it, the compounding effect of having put in this effort,
correct,
that they might be able to move from the 95 to 99.5 by some polishing, some mentoring from someone,
right,
that it might happen just as a snap of a finger for them.
Yeah.
So it is not one size fits all, but even to start, you need to know, is it the top 6?
Right.
Or where will you stop at is what you need to say. Hey, I'm okay to going to a newer IIM which, let's say, has come in Jammu, Bodh Gaya, or any of these places. There's still value for me from where I come from. This is going to give me a head start. Just value. In that case, you know where you can, what you need to. Right. Still, you would want to have the top 6 as your target.
Right.
But if it slips, you're okay. So in that case, you can say 98 plus, 95 plus. You can set your targets accordingly and work toward it.
Right.
But with the top 6, give it your best shot this year. Even if it is only 4.5 months.
Right.
Because if, let's say, you end up with a 98.7,
yeah,
you're not going to get a single call from, let's say, one of the top 6 IIMs. Next year from 98.7 to fine-tuning to 99.5 is going to work.
Correct.
Right. Nothing that you have put in till now is a waste.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you ask me, was I sure that I would get through the 1991 CAT?
Yeah.
No.
Right.
What would I have done? I would have probably tried it once more. Right?
Correct.
It would be frustrating. I'm not saying no.
Yeah.
Right? Given it one attempt, very serious attempt,
yeah,
and then I'll start wondering that initial 2-3 months. इसके बाद और क्या करूँ यार? And like I've done everything that is needed.
Yeah,
I've gone on the train, read my flashcards, and no one gave me a call. You'll go through those phases.
It's very frustrating.
Very frustrating. So come March, come April, you'll find that a couple of your people who prepared with you are going to the IIMs,
right,
and then you hear stories about from them when they come for their summer internship, or even before that they send a letter or a mail, or these days communicate. That again motivates you and say, like, I'm going to charge up and do it. So if you move from an 80 to 91 this year, from a 60 to 88 this year, any progress you make is good.
Amazing.
But have that perspective that this is where I would settle, this is what I'm happy taking in, and what do I need, and see if we can prepare for it.
Perfect, great. I think, and also now, back in the day, of course, you didn't have so many competitive exams.
Correct.
There are other exams which are also not equal. Not better, but some are equally good as CAT.
Correct.
Some are very good exams taking you to good colleges.
Yes.
But CAT preparation can also help you in other.
Absolutely. XAT, for instance, IIFT, all of these. Yes.
Absolutely. Great. Awesome. I'm going to switch gears now to GMAT a little bit.
Right.
Now, of course, you've been an MBA admission consultant and mentor for 20 plus years. You also have your own company, your GMAT JRE prep company, Wizako. So you have rich experience with CAT. You have a context of the Indian MBA landscape, and of course, you're a specialist in the GMAT world. Right? Now, if a student is in a dilemma between choosing to do MBA in India versus abroad, how does one make that decision?
In my mind, that's a very easy decision to make, quite honestly. Right? If you have an India-centric career interest,
right.
For some reason, many of us would want to stay in India. It could be just the personal liking of India, things that the way they are happening here, or it could be like personal reasons that your parents might be aged, you might be want to be with them, multiple reasons. If you think settling in India is your primary objective, an India-centric MBA is what you should look at. Doing a foreign MBA, can you come back to India and make sense out of it? You can. But you don't need to go abroad to do that. You can make sense out of it in India. Sometimes the ROI of doing it outside India and coming back to India may not necessarily play out so well.
Absolutely.
There are others who will say that, hey, India is growing, so much happening in India, but even now, a lot of innovations, a lot of other things that happen in the Western world, right? Sometimes things open out there because the environment, thanks to the fact that they've had a head start over the years and other things, right? For innovation, for new business ideas, many things are faster there or earlier there, right? So you might want to be in the forefront of things, right? You might want to be the person who shapes those things. If you have a career which is international, isn't you want to work outside India? Can you go to an IIM Ahmedabad and work outside India? Yes, certainly. McKinsey, Goldman Sachs, P&Gs, these guys place you as an international talent. But probably about 450 people join the IIM Ahmedabad. How many people get an international placement out of campus? Probably 10%, 15%.
Okay.
So what if you're not there?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
A US MBA, a Europe MBA typically puts you into getting a job in those places.
Correct.
So if international career is your primary focus,
Right.
then don't bat for India for an MBA.
Okay.
Do an MBA outside India, plays out a lot better.
Right. So it's not that difficult. It's a very sort of straightforward choice.
Correct.
Depending on what goals you have.
Yes.
Right. Perfect. Now, between these two exams, GMAT and CAT, right? Of course, if I compare CAT with other Indian MBA competitive exams, there's a lot of overlap.
Right.
Minimum 80%. Actually, that's conservative. It goes to like 90%.
Right.
What are the similarities and differences between CAT and GMAT?
Let's talk about content first.
Yeah.
And then let's talk about the exam, administration.
Right.
Both play a role in this.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
The content wise, I would say both at the core of it, test only math and verbal. Math and English. Nothing more than that.
Correct.
Math includes data, math includes puzzles, and verbal also includes puzzles and all of that. Right. If I have to, because I've done CAT and done GMAT, if you have to just look at the content that the CAT math tests, it's probably a lot more intense than what the GMAT math tests.
Okay.
Both in terms of topics and the depth to which they go in certain topics.
Right.
For example, the new GMAT will not have geometry. Geometry is there in the old GMAT.
Right.
There's trigonometry here. There's no trigonometry there.
Okay.
Things such as these, for example, there are some topics like calendars, shares. These are things which are there, logarithms, as a part of CAT, but not in the GMAT domain at all.
Yeah.
So to that extent, there is topic differences which are there.
Okay.
Right. And even in terms of intensity of topics, for example, Fermat's rule and other things might be a part of CAT, but would not get tested in the GMAT.
Okay.
Then if you look at verbal, CAT verbal primarily has two things: reading comprehension, which would easily account for 2/3 of the VARC section, right? And probably another 1/3 is a mixed bag, right? Some para jumbling, paragraph completion, all of these things are there.
Verbal ability,
Verbal ability in GMAT is a completely different beast. Right? Even the reading comprehension is a lot more tougher than what you see in the CAT RC. Right? Both in terms of the way the passages are tightly packed, and 50% of it is that.
Right.
Critical reasoning. Right? It tries to figure out whether you are able to look at an argument incisively into its components and make sense out of it.
Right.
And to that extent, I think it is also testing a very important aspect of it, primarily from comprehending part.
Right.
As a manager, to a large extent, you are going to be comprehending information that comes to you.
Absolutely.
It could be you'll be reading a piece of paper, it might be a news article, it could be your boss sending you a mail. You have to grasp it, make sense out of it, and then understand, okay, now let's say Jatin is putting forth a point. Okay, Jatin has these three facts, and Jatin is batting for this particular outcome. What are the things that is playing in Jatin's mind? And one is, what are Jatin's biases? Second, what are Jatin's assumptions to say that ABC led to E? That the D is an assumption which I have to figure out. And as a CEO, let's say for example, I need to check out, has Jatin validated the D?
Absolutely.
Or can I validate the D and then make sense out of this? So it tests things which are very critical in the verbal part of it. To that extent, I think the verbal component of GMAT is a very evolved species, is what I would say, from the verbal aspect alone.
Right. Okay.
So these are the content-wise differences. Administration differences. I don't know why CAT is not doing this. They have all the power within them to do it. Why do they have to have the examination only on one day? Right?
I agree with you.
Right. I agree. Primarily, on that day, it could be raining heavily in Chennai.
Of course.
And this is another big peeve with a lot of these Indian educational institutions that I have. Right. Many a times the centers are in like places where you don't even know.
It's in the middle of nowhere.
It's in the middle of nowhere.
Poorly maintained as well.
Poorly maintained. I don't want to name those center places, right? Those are places by the time Google Maps will go crazy taking you there.
Correct.
Right? And you don't even get snacks there.
Yes.
And people will have to take the test. For example, if it's an 8 o'clock examination, they'll have to leave the city center at 5 a.m. in the morning. And what shape are they to go and write the examination there?
It's unnecessary pressure. Unnecessary pressure that gets added on.
It is like saying that
on top of that huge CAT pressure that you
have. I don't know what they're gaining out of it. Right?
Again,
and this is one thing. And why the exam only on one day?
Correct.
They can easily administer it. I'm not saying it should be happening on every day. It can happen in multiple windows.
Absolutely.
So if one window does not work for me, I might have a college semester examination, I might have a company presentation to go through, I can pick another window and still make sense out of it.
Or it's just not your day.
Yes.
Your mindset is not, your mind is not in the right place and you mess up things.
JEE offers multiple windows. Right? So it's not, if anything, the IIMs have the capability to make it happen.
Perfect.
right? And that's a big thing, both in terms of where the centers are located.
Yeah.
I have my daughter who went and took a lot of these post-12th standard examination.
IPM, IPMAT and all of that. Yeah, the centers are, sometimes they're really, really bad.
It's like typically a pilgrimage that you do with a lot of penance.
Right. Correct. Okay, fair enough. Sounds good. I think that's a good evaluation. So now GMAT scores are also accepted by some top schools in India, right?
Yes.
We have ISB, SPGen, BITSOM, right? So there are quite a few students who want to appear for both, again, to maximize their chances, right? Again, CAT has its own peculiarities. GMAT sometimes, it's a more standardized exam. So students, of course, and I think for some students, it's a good idea.
Yes.
But what's your take on it? Is it a good idea to prepare for both these exams together and attempt it one after the other?
I would say that. See, basically in terms of the content, give or take, as in you said 80 for the Indian examinations, I would say 60% there would be overlap between what you prepare for CAT and what you do for preparing for the GMAT. This is basically going to happen. Even including the data insight section, which is going to come into the focus edition, which we would be discussing a little while down the line. There's a lot of commonality in terms of what you prepare for. The testing pattern is a little different. The question types are different. So you need to kind of recondition yourself once you have learned this basics. And so you can decide how you want to go about it. For example, anyone under 3 to 4 years of experience, or even I'll stretch it to 5 years of experience, it's not a question of CAT or GMAT. I would say it's CAT and GMAT. Right. One, if let's say you start in the month of February, you could run through with your GMAT preparation, complete a GMAT preparation, and take the GMAT by like August. Have a score with you. You could choose not even to apply this year because you might be fresh out of college, final year of college. You have a GMAT score, it's valid for 5 years. You could say GMAT MBA programs open out only with 3+ years of experience. I'll keep the score handy and probably use it to apply to BITSOMs and like SPGen and these kinds of places if my CAT score does not work out too well. If let's say you have a good GMAT score, I'm going with a classic GMAT score because the new ones we're still getting used to saying those scores. If you have a 720+ in the classic GMAT score, and then when you're preparing for CAT from August, you need to add those topics you said, something like logarithm, trigonometry, geometry, the 40%. Take your mocks. So condition yourself. You can say, I'll skip this question, I'll revise this question. All of those things happen in CAT, which are not available so much in GMAT. The new version will have questions that you can review. But there's a slight difference in the way you handle these two tests. So September, October, November, gear up for your CAT and take the CAT. Then you decide in the month of January what works, what does not work. If CAT turned out to be good, go in that path. Even after that, if CAT turned out to be good, you'll say, I want an international career at this point. You can switch. You have a 720+ GMAT score. 3 years down the line, you can go for it. Those are possibilities. Conversely, if you're starting in July, don't even think about GMAT right now. Just single-minded focus on CAT. Get the CAT out of the way. Then December, January. Top it up with GMAT preparation. Take the GMAT in February. I would even go to the extent of saying, if you have a good CAT percentile, there's still a lot of stages to go. And till the month of May, you're not going to know where you stand.
There's a lot of uncertainty.
So I've had classmates in IIM Calcutta who the previous year got all 4 calls, did not convert a single one. And then in my year, she came to IIM Calcutta. So and it is true then, it's true now. You will have students who say that.
It is definitely true.
And because you're prepared for CAT till November, topping it up with 2 more months of preparation, having a GMAT score is a wiser thing to do. It's not knowing that it's not happening for you in May and then now what do I do next year? You at least have something in your bag in February. Let's say you have 5 calls, still do it. And the fact that it's sort of valid for 5 years. That really helps. Does the importance of score go down with the lapse time? I mean, do universities look at that, the recency effect? Or international universities don't really mind. Indian schools do. Especially the IIMs, when they look at the 1-year program, they look at 3-year recent score and they're a little more, they want more recency bias to their score.
Got it. Perfect. But I think that's a good way to look at this, right? I mean, even if sort of there's a fresher, they can give GMAT then and then save that score for like
5 years,
3 years, but also apply to SPGen, BITSOM using that score, or even the ISB early program that you can apply and then defer your admission. So I think that's a great.
About 20 schools outside India in the US, they have this 2+2 program, the equivalent, the YLP equivalent. You get to join them 2 years down the line. Starting from Harvard, Wharton, and all of these.
Also give that option.
They also have. Yes.
Perfect. All right, great. personal interviews, right? So of course, we spoke about that. You get a 99 plus, and still, you would sort of personal interviews a big stage that you have to clear, and it's becoming sort of increasingly critical with the CAT admission process.
Right.
How was your PI experience at IIM Calcutta?
My IIM Calcutta, we initially had a GD. Those days we used to have GD and PI.
Right.
GD was a very favorable topic to me.
Okay.
I used to work for the exports division of Larsen & Toubro.
Right.
1991 was when India embarked on the path of liberalization.
Yes, of course.
Lots of things were happening, and being in the exports division, we were more in tune with it than probably someone who was not in that.
Right.
I had an unfair advantage in the topic.
Right. Okay.
If you don't see the scores, so only thing is what I felt about it.
Yeah.
I thought I aced the GD.
Okay. Do you remember the topic?
It was basically liberalization.
Okay.
Right. So, should India embark on a faster liberalization path or slower liberalization path is what they were talking about. Yeah. And so, therefore, we knew what was happening. There was partial float of the rupee and partial convertibility. Many things were happening.
Yeah.
Things that I knew back of the hand because I was dealing with it day in and day out. So, it was like I had the table to myself.
Right.
So, went into the interview. Interview initially went very well.
Okay.
IMC has a way of throwing a curveball at you when you least expect it. Right. So, then suddenly one of the profs was sitting there. He picked up my mark sheets.
Okay.
Looked at my 10th mark sheet.
Okay.
And God forsake, I had a 91 out of 100 in history and geography.
Okay.
That was a very high mark.
Okay.
And then he said, now, where all do you export and to these places? Then he asked me to name 5 Central Asian Commonwealth independent states.
Okay.
Yeah, knowing 5 Commonwealth independent states for me was tough.
Right.
Knowing Central Asian, it started derailing from that.
And by the way, we didn't have internet at that time.
We didn't have
it. It's a different story.
Absolutely.
It wasn't readily
available.
Yeah.
Right. And not too many of these mock interviews also. So you do few.
Right.
And then you go thinking that you'll ace it.
Yeah, of course.
And I was a green one. I'm happy to accept it right now. And you get flustered when someone does this to you. And you see 4 profs sitting there. And someone, you got a 91 on 100 and you don't know this. And I should have probably known. You don't even say that 91 was 10th standard. You start.
It's like you got penalized for scoring high in a subject. Right?
I know. And they'll say, wait, it wasn't that mark 60.
Exactly. Yeah, I wish it was this lesson. Yeah.
So.
Okay.
And derailed actually.
Okay. So derailed after that. Okay.
Because I didn't know how to handle it. Let me put it. I wouldn't. They were just seeing how I would handle that kind of a pressure situation.
Right.
Probably these days, you guys tell people it's perfectly fine. Come out of it. You put them through all of that.
Yeah. Of course.
I wouldn't say we were in those days. We were not having the opportunity.
Yeah.
I could have sought opportunities.
Yeah.
I did not probably.
Right.
But it didn't work out. Is the thing. Net. I got flustered.
Okay.
And after that, even if they asked, "What's your name?" I would have told something.
Oh, so sort of tanked after that.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And those esoteric math questions, because
I didn't get them. For me,
famous for that. Yeah.
I got esoteric geography questions.
All right. Okay. Great. So, not great, but interesting to hear that. Now, for personal interviews, I know it's early in the game, but at this point in time, is there something that a CAT aspirant, according to you, should be doing something to prepare themselves for PIs later? Of course, they'll aggressively prepare after their exams.
Correct.
But is there anything, maybe on the communication front or anything that they should be doing at this point in time?
Just a couple of things. Even in campus when I was there, I studied with classmates.
Right.
Who were phenomenally bright people.
Okay. Right.
But sometimes the finesse of English language was not there.
Absolutely.
Right. The whole point is, I think the IIMs are willing to look at your merit. When I say communication, it's got 2 parts. How you speak, what kind of language you use, and
absolutely.
Whether it's grammatically right, whether it's polished, right. I think many IIMs even today see beyond that.
Okay.
As in, if you have it, good. If it is rusty, they're willing to accept that you could have studied in vernacular till 12th standard. Probably college could have partly been in a place where people don't speak English normally.
Right, absolutely.
So they're willing to go beyond and see what you have.
Okay.
The second part of the communication is, I think many a times in any of these interviews, they're also trying to look to see, are you someone who is a mini Google, Who knows? Hey, A is happening, B is happening.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
When is the World Cup T20 happening? I know this.
That intellectual curiosity, right? I need to figure out why and what is happening.
Correct. Just the information.
Yeah.
And there are people who will have a perspective on it.
Okay. Yes.
The Google throws information on you.
Yeah.
Which is the capital of this? What is the flower of Tamil Nadu state?
Right.
Gloriosa superba.
Right.
What does Gloriosa superba does? Where does it grow? Does it have a medicinal effect?
Correct.
Right. That's a different thing. That's having a perspective on it.
That's the real curiosity, right?
Absolutely. So I think building that takes a while. So if you can improve your communication during these 6 months, if you are not used to speaking in English, try and make an effort to speak in English. Right. But don't worry too much about that.
Okay.
And sometimes those take a little while.
Right.
And we place more emphasis on that than on the content matter.
Okay.
If you're reading about a news article, see if you can get a perspective about it.
Interesting. Okay.
See if there are 4 opinions. There's a left opinion, right opinion, center opinion. Try and get all opinions.
Especially in today's world. It's
absolutely. The world over, there's so much polarization that is there. So you need to know those things.
Okay.
And keep on thinking, you could have your own biases. All of us do have.
Absolutely.
But as a person preparing for the interview, be open to seeing the other side.
Right.
Which is very important.
And I think that's also a mindset or skill that takes time to develop. Correct. It's not easy being open-minded, right?
Yes.
Okay. So
we are not. I'm 50 and I'm...
I'm not. I just had a big argument with Rajesh. I was very big-headed about something. I'm not. It's difficult. It's very difficult. It's very easy to say that, but it's difficult. Okay, interesting. So they should read, but also sort of develop a curiosity around it, develop a perspective, which will eventually help them. Amazing.
I would like to quote something. I watched this. Please. In Apple TV, Ted Lasso is something which I watched. It's a lovely thing. I enjoyed it like anything.
Okay.
One of the things that Ted Lasso says that in that view, I think it's not from Ted Lasso. He says a poet or a singer had this thing and he picked it from there.
Right.
Be curious, not judgmental. Especially when you're preparing for these interview process, right? Be curious about why is that side having this opinion?
Yeah.
Why is this guy having this opinion?
Yes.
And be curious. Keep your judgment a little on the back burner. Because sometimes when you put your judgment ahead in the interview process, you don't want to see the other side. And the profs might just take the other side to see how well you can reason. So having that helps.
Absolutely. I'm going to include that quote in my PI training for sure. I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so we're done with the serious part of the interview. Now comes the fun part.
Okay.
It's actually fun for me. I don't know whether it's going to be fun for you. But I'm going to subject you to a rapid fire. That's a standard kind of protocol for every talk show right now. Okay?
Right.
So I'm going to follow that. I think around 6 questions will come rapidly at you.
Right.
You need to give me very rapid answers, and there needs to be fire in your answers. Right, which means the more controversial you are, the more points you get.
Okay.
We'll get the YouTube audience to give you points. Okay. All right. So I'll in very sort of rapid succession. What are you most passionate about, except of course GMAT?
One, reading and watching web series.
Okay. Favorite web series right now?
Right now, I'm watching 2, both of which I do enjoy.
Okay.
One is Silo.
Okay.
And the second one is Secret Invasion. But before this, I really tripped on something was Ted Lasso.
Okay. Yeah. All right. What's your guilty pleasure?
Guilt pleasure.
Something that gives you joy, but you're a little guilty about it. You feel a little guilty about it.
This web series a little bit. It takes time off from things that I need to do. But I enjoy watching it. My wife keeps saying.
Right.
And I do this. My wife watches a little bit of K-drama and other things. I don't watch it. But I wake up in the middle of the night sometimes coming.
Yeah.
And there'll be a show which I would not have watched at all.
Right.
I'll want her to tell me what it is till then. And then watch it for half an hour. And we'll never watch it again.
Yeah.
That's
K-dramas are addictive. Correct. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. One piece of advice you would give the CAT convener of 2023?
Okay, 2 things. Request.
Right. Yes.
So please keep the centers within city limits.
Yes.
And see if you can offer more windows instead of just 1 day for people to take the test. You would probably look at getting guys who did not do well on that particular day and therefore a better crop you would probably have in fact.
Absolutely. And if I may add, just if you can at least have basic clean toilets.
Right.
And invigilators who are trained not to make noise or have conversation around students, I think that would also help. Yes. Anyway, so the Gen Z generation, right? The latest generation. The latest is Alpha now, of course, but Gen Z. What do you admire the most about Gen Z?
One, I think the curiosity levels are higher and they also get fed.
Right.
And because my kids are in the Gen Z generation.
Correct. Yeah.
So they're a lot less afraid than where we were.
Right.
That's something I like about them a lot. In sense, or the ones that I'm seeing, I'm not an expert on Gen Z. So I just want to be very careful about what I say here.
Right.
The exposure that I've had to the Gen Z, thanks to my kids' friends and other things, right?
And also students, right?
And also students. Some level, when we were at their age, right, which is like 15 or late teens, right? If someone elderly told something to us, we would call and shut up and just listen, even if we had a difference of opinion.
Absolutely.
Right. Now they'll tell you that I don't think so. Or they will take it with a pinch of salt, definitely, especially if it comes from a parent. Go check it. They have Google, they have verified, and then if they have a counterpoint, they'll come back and tell you, not immediately, a little later, depending upon how the conversation environment.
The negotiation that goes on.
There is essentially, they are not willing to take anything thrown at them. That's a lovely thing.
I think back in my day, I used to listen to them, listen to all the advice, but do my own thing and never tell them. So that was the best strategy to get out of that. But I agree with your assessment. One thing that you do not like about
being a parent to such people is not something easy. I wish they just shut up and listen to
me. Fair enough. Okay. Complete the sentence. Instagram Reels are dash.
This is... Instagram Reels are addictive.
Right.
That's what I would say.
Okay. We'll stop there. Okay, now this is the most interesting part. We did a Gen Z slang pop quiz with Rajesh.
Okay.
Rajesh failed miserably at it. He won't agree with it.
Okay.
But the evidence is there on YouTube.
Okay.
I'm going to subject you to the same thing.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you 5 slang words. You have to tell me the meaning of that.
Okay.
Okay, very quickly. Do you know what YOLO is?
You only live once.
Perfect. So that's a millennial slang. We're starting with an easy one. Now I'm going to go to Gen Z.
Right.
Do you know what sus is? Where they say this is sus.
No.
So sus is suspicious.
Suspicious. Okay. Okay.
Do you know what stan is?
STAN.
Yeah. Like I stand this. I stand them. I stand this celebrity.
I salute.
Okay. So stan is definitely positive. It's like.
Okay.
I just came to know it comes from a combination of stalker and something else. I think. Yeah. Okay. What was it? Stalker and something. But anyway, stan means you appreciate someone. Okay. You really like someone. You adore someone without being creepy.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a combination of 2 words.
Okay.
So stalker is creepy.
Correct.
There's another word that I can't remember right now. But anyway.
So something close to salute.
Yeah. Maybe salute and stalker. Yeah.
So I'm trying to get one more point.
Okay. We'll give you a point for that.
Right.
Do you know what no cap is?
No cap is no limits?
No cap is no lies.
No
so
lies.
when you state a fact.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
You will say no cap.
Okay.
Wizako is the best GMAT prep institute.
Okay.
No cap.
Right. So, right.
No discussion.
Yes.
Yeah. Period. Do you know what GOAT is?
Yeah, great of all times.
Perfect. Greatest.
And like my son is a football fan, so obviously GOATs.
Of course. Yeah, it comes from there.
Yes.
Amazing. Great interview, Baskar. Thank you so much for taking out the time.
Thank you.
I think the students would really appreciate it, and I hope you have a nice day.
Best of luck, guys. Put your best foot forward. Sometimes you might get it in the first attempt. Sometimes it might take a second attempt. It's perfectly fine. If you have set your goals right, and work toward it. I just want to add one last thing. Sure. Read a book recently. This is about mindset is what I think it's called. Right? That the author beautifully says that what needs to be appreciated is the effort and the journey that you went into it. Results will happen if you have done the right things. Don't measure it in terms of what you were endowed with. As in, many times she gives an example saying that many parents go to the extent of saying that my child does not even have to study in its course mark. That puts pressure on them, thinking that if you actually work hard, that's a negative thing. You should be endowed genetically or some other way with it. In fact, what needs to be appreciated is where you moved from. If you moved from a 60 percentile to a 99th percentile and you did the effort to get there, that's probably what is great than someone who probably started with a 98%. I'm not saying that he should go down to 60, right? 98 to 99.9, yes, it's hard work, but this person had a journey which started off at a much higher level.
Correct. Absolutely.
So reward yourself, appreciate yourself, pat yourself for what you do, not what you started off with. Yeah. Right? Best of luck.
It's a great thought, especially in the mock season. Thank you so much, Baskar.
Yeah.